the showcase of the immortals, the granddaddy of them all. Since March 31st, 1985, WrestleMania has been the standard bearer for which all wrestling supercards will be compared to for the rest of time. For over 40 years, WWE has presented some of the greatest and sometimes the worst moments in wrestling history on the biggest event of the year. I'm JR Judy, and these are 50 fascinating facts about WrestleMania. Number 1. WrestleMania was almost called the Colossal Tussle. Yup, the Colossal Tussle. Vince McMahon was going to call his wrestling supercard that he gambled his entire company on the Colossal Tussle. Imagine if that name would have stuck. We would have just seen John Cena and Cody Rhodes headline Colossal Tussle 41. Thankfully, Howard Finkele and his beautiful mustache took the term Beatlemania, put a wrestling spin on it, and created Wrestlemania. Howard Finkele, you true hero. Number 2. WrestleMania 1 took place during the afternoon. On March 31st, 1985, Madison Square Garden hosted the first ever WrestleMania, but didn't see the World Wrestling Federation as their top priority on the day of the show. On Sunday, March 31st, WrestleMania took place in the afternoon, and immediately after Hulk Hogan and Mr. T defeated Rowdy Roddy Piper and Cowboy Bob Orton, the WWF had to clean up and get out of the building so the New York Rangers could host the Toronto Maple Leafs that evening. For any hockey fans wondering, the Rangers defeated the Maple Leafs 7-5, but hockey's a fake sport, and luckily Madison Square Garden saw the error in their ways and showcased WrestleMania in the evening for Manias 10 and 20. Number 3. WrestleMania 1 is the only WrestleMania without a World Championship match. When you think WrestleMania, you think the biggest possible matches and attractions, and WrestleMania 1 did load the card up with many matches, moments, and spectacles. But there was one major attraction missing from the card: a World Championship match. Whilst Mania 1 did include 3 championship matches, as Greg the Hammer Valentine retained his Intercontinental Championship over the Junkyard Dog, the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov defeated the US Express for the Tag Team Championships, and Wendy Richter defeated Leilani Kai for the Women's Championship, it did not feature a title defense by World Champion Hulk Hogan. Instead, Hogan main evented Mania 1 teaming with Mr. T, and every WrestleMania since has had at least one World Championship match. Number 4. WrestleMania 2 was held on a Monday. That's a school night, WWE. Prior to the Monday Night Wars, the WWF held its pay-per-views on different nights of the week pretty frequently. Survivor Series was the Thanksgiving night tradition, and they even held a special This Tuesday in Texas show on, you guessed it, a Tuesday. But WrestleMania has always been a Sunday night extravaganza until the advent of the two-night Mania. But for just 1 year, WrestleMania took place on a Monday night. Thankfully, WrestleMania returned to its Sunday night home for WrestleMania 3, and WWE never produced a Monday Night Mania again. Number 5. WrestleMania 2 features Bruno Sam Martinos' only pay-per-view match. It sounds fake, but it's true. On December 17, 1959, Bruno Sam Martino made his debut in Madison Square Garden, defeating Dmitry Gabrowski in 19 seconds. By April of 1963, Bruno defeated the then WWF champion Nature Boy Buddy Rogers to become the world champion. Bruno would hold on to the championship for a record-setting 2,803 days until being defeated by Ivan Koloff on January 18, 1971. However, by the time the WWF began airing their product on pay-per-view, Bruno had begun slowing down his in-ring career. At WrestleMania 1, he managed his son David San Martino for his match against Brutus Beefcake. Bruno did not feature on the WWF's next pay-per-view offering, the Wrestling Classic. It wasn't until the Chicago portion of the WrestleMania 2 card where Bruno San Martino made his pay-per-view debut as one of the 20 competitors in the WWF vs. NFL Battle Royal, eventually won by Andre the Giant. After WrestleMania 2, Bruno wrestled only 25 more matches for the Federation, mostly on house shows, before retiring in August of 1987, thus never competing on pay-per-view again. Number 6. Andre the Giant drank 14 bottles of wine before his match against Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3. Andre the Giant's drinking stories are as gigantic and legendary as the Giant himself. According to Mike Graham and Dusty Rhodes, they once said Andre the Giant drank 156 beers in one sitting. But downing 14 bottles of wine before the most famous match in wrestling history is just insane. Going into the match, Andre was in severe physical pain, wearing a back brace under the iconic one-strap singlet he debuted that night. Andre put himself through a physical toll just to make it to the iconic match. A true legend. Number 7. Greg the Hammer Valentine became the first man to wrestle for the WWF Triple Crown at WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 1, Greg the Hammer Valentine defended his Intercontinental Championship against the Junkyard Dog. At WrestleMania 2, he and Brutus Beefcake lost their tag team championships to the British Bulldogs. And finally, by entering the tournament at WrestleMania 4, Valentine was technically competing for the WWF Championship. This rare trifecta has also been accomplished by Bret the Hitman Hart, Chris Benoit, JBL, The Miz, Daniel Bryan, and maybe most shockingly Hulk Hogan, who competed for the WWF Championship at Manias 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9, the Intercontinental Championship at Mania 6 against the Ultimate Warrior, and the Tag Team Championships tagging with Brutus Beefcake in a losing effort against Champions Money Incorporated at WrestleMania 9. Number 8. WrestleMania 6 featured Andre the Giant's last televised match. During the second match of WrestleMania 6, Andre the Giant and Haku dropped their tag team championships to demolition. By 1990, Andre's physical condition was even worse than it was at WrestleMania 3, and thus aside from a few untelevised matches on international tours following WrestleMania 6, Andre never wrestled again. Therefore, it was fitting that Andre left as a conquering hero after getting sick of Bobby Heenan's verbal tirades. Andre leaving on a motorized ring cart receiving a standing ovation is truly an underrated moment of WrestleMania 6. Number 9. The first 4 April 1st WrestleManias had a face versus face main event. WWE does not do comedy well, but they somehow pulled off a recurring April Fool's joke of making their audiences choose between two beloved heroes in the main event of WrestleMania 4 different times. At WrestleMania 6, WWF Champion Hulk Hogan battled WWF Intercontinental Champion The Ultimate Warrior. At WrestleMania 17, The Rock defended his WWF Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin, who did turn heel by the end of the night. At WrestleMania 23, WWE Champion John Cena defended against Shawn Michaels, and at WrestleMania 28, The Rock battled John Cena in Once in a Lifetime. WrestleMania 39 was the first April 1st WrestleMania to not take place on a Sunday, and also the first to not have a face versus face main event, as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defeated the Usos for the undisputed tag team championships. Number 10. The Undertaker's total entrance time is longer than any singular WrestleMania match. At WrestleMania 12, Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels' iconic Iron Man match set the record for the longest WrestleMania match at 1 hour, 1 minute, and 56 seconds. However, if you combine every entrance The Undertaker has ever made at WrestleMania, the total time adds up to 97 minutes and 20 seconds, 36 minutes longer than the longest match in Mania history. Even more interesting, The Undertaker's Mania 34 entrance was longer than his entire match. At Mania 34, The Undertaker made his slow walk down the ramp for his dream match against John Cena, taking 5 minutes and 55 seconds to enter the ring. But the dream quickly turned into a nightmare as 2 minutes and 45 seconds later, the match was over. The Undertaker dominated John Cena and won in a match where his entrance lasted twice as long as the match. Number 11. WrestleManias 8, 9, and 10 all had matches cut. Before the days of streaming services and insanely long WrestleManias, WWE had to stick to a strict pay-per-view time, thus matches would sometimes have to be shortened or cut entirely. At WrestleMania 8, the scheduled match between the British Bulldog and the Berserker was cancelled. At WrestleMania 9, the scheduled Kamala vs. Bam Bam Bigelow match was cancelled. And at WrestleMania 10, the scheduled 10-man tag team match of IRS, the Head Shrinkers, Rick Martel, and Jeff Jarrett against the 1-2-3 Kid, Sparky Plug, the Smoking Guns, and Tatanka was cut during the show and bumped to a subsequent episode of Monday Night Raw. The kayfabe reason provided was the heel team was unable to decide who their team captain would be, but in reality the Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match went way too long, with Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon ignoring the referee's calls to go home. Number 12. WrestleMania 9 took place in a parking lot. WrestleMania 9 is generally considered one of the worst manias of all time. The world's largest toga party took place during a down period in the WWF, only made worse by the fact that WrestleMania took place in a parking lot. The WWF created their own version of the Roman Coliseum in Las Vegas and the parking lot of Caesar's Palace. WrestleMania in a parking lot may be the weirdest WrestleMania location with the exception of the empty performance center used for WrestleMania 36. Number 13. Yokozuna and Drew McIntyre are the only wrestlers to win and lose a world championship on the same night of WrestleMania. At WrestleMania 9, Yokozuna made history by defeating Bret the Hitman Hart for the WWF Championship before unexplainably challenging Hulk Hogan to a match for his newly won championship. 26 seconds later, Hulk Hogan defeated Yokozuna to regain the title for a 5th time. This feat wouldn't be accomplished again until WrestleMania 40 when Drew McIntyre defeated Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship before immediately losing his championship to a cashing in Senior Money in the Bank Damian Priest. Number 14. There have been 2 father versus son and 3 brother versus brother matches at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is truly a family affair, as 5 times WrestleMania has featured actual family members facing off. At WrestleMania 10, brothers Bret and Owen Hart faced off in one of the greatest opening matches of WrestleMania history in the first ever brother versus brother match. 7 years later, the WWE would present their first father versus son match at WrestleMania as Vince and Shane McMahon battled in their highly entertaining street fight at WrestleMania 17. At WrestleMania 25, Jeff and Matt Hardy faced off in an underwhelming brother versus brother match, only to be outdone by an even more underwhelming brother versus brother match when Jimmy and Jey Uso faced off at WrestleMania 40. Also at WrestleMania 39, Rey Mysterio and son Dominic did battle in the last father versus son match to date at WrestleMania. Additionally, at WrestleMania 41, Rey and Dominic became the first father-son combination to both win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and the 3rd pair all time, joining Mr. Perfect and Curtis Axel and Rikishi and Jey Uso. Number 15. WrestleMania 10 features the only Mania World Championship match to end via disqualification. WrestleMania 10 was unique for a few reasons regarding the WWF Championship. At the 1994 Royal Rumble, for the first and at the time of this video only time in WWE history, we had co-winners of the Royal Rumble after Bret Hart and Lex Luger eliminated each other simultaneously. With this being just the second year of WWE providing the Royal Rumble winner with a World Championship match at WrestleMania, both Luger and Hart were awarded a championship match at WrestleMania 10. Lex Luger won a coin toss, allowing him to challenge then WWF champion Yokozuna first. During the match, Lex Luger placed his hand on special guest referee Mr. Perfect, leading to Luger being disqualified. WWE has had future disqualifications at WrestleMania, but never in a World Championship match. Number 16. Lawrence Taylor has main evented the same number of WrestleManias as CM Punk. Thanks to his former best friend Paul Heyman, CM Punk main evented WrestleMania for the first time as he headlined Night 1 of WrestleMania 41 against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. This is the same number of WrestleMania main events as Pro Football Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor, who main evented WrestleMania 11 against Bam Bam Bigelow. Additionally, for his performance in the main event, Bam Bam Bigelow made a reported $250,000 for the WrestleMania main event. This match is also the only WrestleMania main event in history where neither competitor ever held a championship in WWE. Number 17. Sid only wrestled 2 WrestleMania matches, both were main events. It's been said that Shawn Michaels is Mr. WrestleMania, but even Mr. WrestleMania opened the show at multiple WrestleManias. Only one superstar has wrestled in multiple WrestleManias, with every match being a main event, that being the master and the ruler of the world. At WrestleMania 8, Sid faced Hulk Hogan in Hulk's retirement match, a truly awful main event remembered only for Papa Shango missing his cue, forcing Sid to kick out of the leg drop, and the return of the Ultimate Warrior looking like a completely different person, leading to rumors of a quote, new Ultimate Warrior. This is also the only WrestleMania main event match to end via disqualification. After crapping the bed at WrestleMania 8, Sid followed up his Mania streak by allegedly crapping his pants during the finish of his Mania 13 main event, where he unsuccessfully defended the WWF Championship against The Undertaker. Regardless of this fact, Sid still remains the master and the ruler of the WrestleMania main events. Number 18. WrestleMania 13 is the lowest bought WrestleMania pre-WWE Network. WrestleMania 13 is remembered for the incredible Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin submission match that many say saved WrestleMania 13. But to the shock of many, only 237,000 fans saw this 5-star classic live. In 1997, the WWF was deep in the Monday Night War with WCW, and thanks to the NWO, the Cruiserweights, Sting, and many other tremendous tactics used by WCW, the WWF was in severe trouble. Pre-NWO, the WWF garnered 290,000 pay-per-view buys for WrestleMania 12, but come 1997, the buys plummeted even lower. By the time 1998 rolled around and the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin began, the WWF bounced back to an impressive 730,000 pay-per-view buys for WrestleMania 14. Number 19. Eio Sky is the first Japanese-born wrestler to win at WrestleMania in 27 years. With her successful defense of her Women's World Championship at WrestleMania 41, Eio Sky became the first Japanese-born wrestler to win at WrestleMania since 1998. Prior to her victory, Taka Michinoku was the last Japanese-born wrestler to win at WrestleMania. In the second match of WrestleMania 14, Taka Michinoku successfully defended his light heavyweight championship against Aguila, the future S.A. Rios, in the only light heavyweight championship match in WrestleMania history. Number 20. Stone Cold Steve Austin has never walked into WrestleMania as champion. Stone Cold Steve Austin left WrestleMania as the WWF champion 3 times at Manias 14, 15, and 17. However, every time Austin walked into WrestleMania as the challenger. The only time Austin walked into a WrestleMania with gold around his waist was WrestleMania 12, but that was the unrecognized $1 million championship. Number 21. WrestleMania 14 was the debut of The Rock's famous catchphrase. During WrestleMania 14, prior to his Intercontinental Championship defense against Ken Shamrock, The Rock was interviewed by Jennifer Flowers, most known for a brief affair with former President Bill Clinton. Jennifer interviewed The Rock as if he were running for president, during which The Rock said, "Smell what I'm cooking," as a playful punchline to one of his interview answers. It's crazy to think how impactful that throwaway phrase would end up being for The Rock's career, helping send him to the stratosphere. Number 22. The Rock main evented both WrestleManias in Philadelphia. WrestleMania has taken place in the city of brotherly love on 2 separate occasions. First for WrestleMania 15 in 1999, and then 25 years later for WrestleMania 40 in 2024. The one constant between those 2 shows? The Rock. At WrestleMania 15, The Rock unsuccessfully defended his WWF Championship against Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event. 25 years later, The Rock headlined Night 1 of WrestleMania 40, teaming with Roman Reigns to battle Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Only 4 individuals appeared on screen for both WrestleManias: Triple H, The Undertaker, Michael Cole, and The Rock, but only The Rock wrestled on both shows. Number 23. X-Pac did not compete in a WrestleMania match until 6 years after his WWF debut. This one just seems impossible, but it's true. Shawn, Lightning, King, 123 Kid, 6 Pac Waltman was a staple of Attitude Era Pro Wrestling, being a member of both the NWO and D-Generation X. However, it took him 6 years to finally compete at WrestleMania. After a series of tryout matches after WrestleMania 11 in 1993, Waltman was scheduled to compete in the previously mentioned 10-man tag match at WrestleMania 10, which was cut due to time constraints. At WrestleMania 11, Waltman accompanied Razor Ramon to the ring for his Intercontinental Championship match against Jeff Jarrett. In 1996, Kid was buried deep in the mid-card and had nothing to do with WrestleMania 12. Waltman would then leave the WWF in September of 1996, joining the NWO as 6, thus missing WrestleMania 13. He returned to the WWF the night after WrestleMania 14 as X-Pac joining D-Generation X, and then finally got his WrestleMania debut, losing a European Championship match to Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 15. Number 24. Michael Cole accidentally spoiled the main event of WrestleMania 15. Whoops. During 1999, Michael Cole was filling in for Jim Ross, who was recovering from another case of Bell's palsy, and accidentally revealed to the world the result of the upcoming Stone Cold vs. The Rock WWF Championship match. As Hell in a Cell was lowering for the penultimate match, Michael Cole let viewers know about the Home Shopping Network's post-show, where you could hear comments from the quote, new WWF champion. This comment has been removed from all subsequent releases of the show and edited off the network, but the internet never forgets. Number 25. WrestleMania 2000 consisted of 0 traditional singles matches. WrestleMania 2000 was weird. WrestleMania is traditionally a show known for major blow-offs to feuds and storylines between two wrestlers, showcasing the very top stars of the Federation at the time. However, WrestleMania 2000 seems like it was booked by Teddy Long, sent back in time, and should have been named Tag Team Mania. Playa. WrestleMania 2000 featured 3 tag team matches, a 6-person mixed tag team match, a triangle ladder match for the tag team titles, plus 3 multi-man matches just to get everyone on the card, including a 13-man hardcore title battle royal, a triple threat for the Eurocontinental Championship, and a fatal 4-way for the WWF Championship main event. The only singles match on the entire night was a cat fight between Terry and the Cat. But even this match had to be weird because it could be won by simply throwing your opponent out of the ring. Thus, WrestleMania 2000 had 0 traditional singles matches. Pure Vince sanity. Number 26. Raven almost cut the power to WrestleMania 17. WrestleMania 17 is arguably one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, but the show almost got cut short. During WrestleMania 17, Raven, The Big Show, and Kane put on a highly entertaining triple threat match for the Hardcore Championship. One of the most memorable spots of the match was a brief golf cart chase. According to Raven, the chase was supposed to go on even longer, circling the entire building, but he made a severe miscalculation. Raven swerved the car into a mesh retaining wall, thinking the cart would bounce off and continue on its way, but what he didn't realize was there was a gap between the wall and the concrete foundation, causing the tires to fall into the gap. Apparently, there were critical wires in said gap, and Raven was told by a production crew member he came within a quarter of an inch from cutting the power to the entire broadcast. Number 27. WrestleMania 19's main event was a historic first. When a wrestler comes to WWE, the company wants to own everything, even their names, thus allowing WWE to own all marketing rights and revenues. That's why you commonly see wrestlers such as Joe Hennig renamed to the ridiculous Michael McGillicuddy, but at WrestleMania 19, for the first and only time in history, both competitors in the WrestleMania main event used their real, God-given birth names, as Brock Lesnar battled Kurt Angle. However, this match almost didn't close the show, as the rumored main event was to be the trilogy conclusion of Stone Cold vs. The Rock at WrestleMania prior to Stone Cold's health concerns. Number 28. WrestleMania 20 was historic for the women's division. With multiple women's world championships, tag team championships, and now mid-card championships, it's commonplace to see multiple women's matches take place on WrestleMania cards. However, this wasn't always the case. Prior to WrestleMania 20, there had never been more than one women's match at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 20 broke the mold by featuring 2 all-women's matches, with Victoria and Molly Holly's title versus hair match, and the Matt Classic that was the Playboy evening gown match, where Tori Wilson and Sable defeated Miss Jackie and Stacy Keibler. Number 29. WrestleMania 20 was the first Mania to end via submission. Although Mania had been previously headlined by wrestlers with submission finishers, most notably Bret Hart and his sharpshooter, WrestleMania had never ended via a tap out until WrestleMania 20. At the conclusion of the highly entertaining triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Chris Benoit forced Triple H to submit to the crossface. Since then, Mania has ended via submission 4 other times. 2 with John Cena's STF at Manias 22 and 23, 1 with The Undertaker's Hell's Gate at WrestleMania 24, and 1 with Daniel Bryan's Yes Lock at WrestleMania 30. Number 30. Edge's Money in the Bank connection. The Ultimate Opportunist is synonymous with Money in the Bank, but did you know he is in some way connected to every Money in the Bank match that took place at WrestleMania? At WrestleMania 21, Edge won the inaugural match, later cashing in on John Cena to win the WWE Championship. At WrestleMania 22, RVD won the briefcase, eventually cashing in to win the WWE Championship from John Cena after interference from Edge. At WrestleMania 23, Edge competed in the match but lost to Mr. Kennedy, but due to Mr. Kennedy's injury, Edge defeated Kennedy for the briefcase and would cash in on The Undertaker to win the World Heavyweight Championship. At WrestleMania 24, CM Punk won his first of 2 Money Money in the Bank contracts, eventually cashing in on Edge to win the World Heavyweight Championship. At WrestleMania 25, Punk once again won Money in the Bank and would cash in on Jeff Hardy immediately following his grueling world title defense against Edge in a ladder match. And at WrestleMania 26, Jack Swagger would win the briefcase and cash in to win the World Heavyweight Championship from Chris Jericho after Edge attacked Jericho. Number 31. WrestleMania 21 is the only Mania to not feature any tag team matches, aka Teddy Long's least favorite WrestleMania. Including the pre-show, WrestleMania 21 presented a highly entertaining 10-match card featuring the coronation of two new world champions in John Cena and Batista. But what it didn't feature was a single tag team match. The show featured 8 singles matches, including the Big Show vs. Akebono sumo match, never forget, the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match, and a pre-show 30-man battle royal. But what about the tag team champions, Teddy Long asks as he cries in a corner. WWE tag team champions Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio faced each other in a highly competitive opening contest, while world tag team champions William Regal and Tajiri both took part in the pre-show battle royal. Also, to anyone yelling, but what about WrestleMania 25? That Mania had a tag team championship unification match on the pre-show. It still counts. Number 32. The Undertaker has defeated every member of Evolution at WrestleMania. They said Evolution is a mystery, but not for The Undertaker. The historic stable of world champions all tried to break The Undertaker's historic WrestleMania streak a total of 6 times, all coming up short. Triple H was the first to try and fail at WrestleMania 17, then the following year The Undertaker extended his streak to 10-0, defeating Ric Flair in an underrated gem. At WrestleMania 21, Randy Orton tried to kill the legend of the streak but came up short. And finally, Batista unsuccessfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 23 in a tremendous match. Triple H would then try his luck 2 future times at Manias 27 and 28, adding 2 more losses to Evolution's record against The Undertaker. Number 33. Randy Orton has never won a WrestleMania match on his birthday. Poor Randy Orton. On April 1st, 1980, Randall Keith Orton slithered out of the womb like a viper and RKO'd the Doctor, and then did his arms out pose thing that he likes to do. Since then, April 1st has been a day where everyone celebrates the Viper in fear of being punched in the skull if we don't. But every time WrestleMania fell on Randy's birthday, the Viper's birthday party was forced to be cancelled so he can go lose a match. At WrestleMania 23, Randy Orton was part of the Money in the Bank ladder match, eventually won by Mr. Kennedy, and at WrestleMania 28, Randy Orton was defeated by Kane. At WrestleMania 39, Randy Orton was out of action with an injury, so as of this recording, Randy Orton has still yet to win a match at WrestleMania on his birthday. Poor Randy Orton. Number 34. WrestleMania 25 is the only WrestleMania to have a 0% win rate for its female competitors. For WrestleMania 25, not the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania, your wedding date is not also your first anniversary of your wedding. WWE, how can you be so stupid sometimes? WrestleMania 25 featured the abysmal Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal hidden inside of a Kid Rock concert. This WrestleMania is historic for women's wrestling, and not in the good way. This is the only WrestleMania where every woman competing on the show lost a match. How do you ask? 2 words. Santina Marella. Santina Marella in drag won the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal. A man won the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, which means every woman lost at WrestleMania 25. I hate this match. Number 35. Michael Cole has a better WrestleMania win percentage than The Undertaker. Yup. It's true. The Undertaker has had an incredible catalog of WrestleMania matches, and that one with Giant Gonzalez. In his illustrious career, The Undertaker's WrestleMania record is 25-2, with the dead man suffering losses to only Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, bringing his winning percentage to a very respectable 92.5%. However, it cannot be ignored or forgotten that after his disqualification win over Jerry Lawler at WrestleMania 27, Michael Cole, the same man who spoiled the main event of WrestleMania 12 years prior, holds a better winning percentage at the show of shows than its most anonymous performer. Number 36. WrestleMania 27 is the only WrestleMania in history with 0 title changes. WrestleMania has always been known for historic moments and triumphant victories for our conquering heroes, but WrestleMania 27 had no such moments. Only 2 title matches took place on the entire show, and both champions retained. Edge retained his World Heavyweight Championship over Alberto Del Rio in the opening contest, and The Miz retained his WWE Championship over John Cena in the main event. Every other Mania in history has had at least 1 title change hands, and with so many championships on the current roster, I don't see this streak ending anytime soon. Number 37. The Rock has never successfully defended the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Part of the reason why WrestleMania always has had at least 1 title change is the major WWE Championship matches. As of this recording, the WWE Championship has changed hands at 25 different WrestleManias, with 3 of those title changes involving The Rock. The Rock entered WrestleManias 15, 17, and 29 as the defending WWE Champion, but by the end of the night, The Rock lost his championship twice to Stone Cold Steve Austin at Manias 15 and 17, and then at 29 to John Cena in Twice in a Lifetime. Number 38. Chad Patton didn't know the finish of The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Can you imagine? Referees are trained to call wrestling like a shoot, and even if a wrestler doesn't kick out, they are told to count the pinfall. But this was different. This was the streak. When Chad Patton made the count after the third F5 to The Undertaker, he didn't know he was about to count history. The worst part is, during the original airing of the match, when Patton counts to 3, the bell doesn't sound. Imagine being Chad Patton and thinking you've just messed up the finish of the streak. Many fans live in attendance also thought it was a botch until the 21-1 graphic appeared on the screen. To make it clear it wasn't a botch, a bell sound has since been added to the DVD and network versions. Number 39. WrestleMania 31 was cursed. When WWE was preparing for WrestleMania 32, the card seemed a bit lighter on star power. That was because they were missing some key stars due to injury. Every champion leaving WrestleMania 31 missed WrestleMania 32. WWE Champion Seth Rollins was forced to vacate his title due to a knee injury. United States Champion John Cena was out with a neck injury, and although he did appear, was not medically cleared to compete. It is worth noting the original plans for Mania 32 would have seen John Cena versus The Undertaker. Intercontinental Champion Daniel Bryan was forced to retire with his neck injury. Divas Champion Nikki Bella also missed WrestleMania 32 with a neck injury, and Tag Team Champions Tyson Kidd and Cesaro both missed WrestleMania due to injury. Tyson Kidd suffered a career-ending neck injury, while Cesaro would not be cleared to return to the ring until the night after WrestleMania 32. Number 40. Every match Charlotte Flair has had at WrestleMania has been a championship match. They say diamonds are forever, and so is Charlotte Flair in a championship match. At WrestleMania 32, Charlotte Flair made her WrestleMania debut, defeating Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks to crown an inaugural WWE Women's Champion. From there, Charlotte would compete for the Raw Women's Championship at Mania 33, break Asuka's undefeated streak in defense of her SmackDown Women's Championship at Mania 34, main event WrestleMania 35 for both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, capture the NXT Championship at Mania 36, retain the SmackDown Women's Championship at Mania 38, lose the SmackDown Women's Championship at Mania 39, and Charlotte was unsuccessful in her challenge of Tiffany Stratton for the WWE Women's Championship at WrestleMania 41. Number 41. Jeff Hardy didn't win a WrestleMania match until WrestleMania 33. At WrestleMania 2000, the Hardys made their WrestleMania debuts in the historic Triangle Ladder match against the Dudleys and Edge and Christian. The following year, the three teams ran it back in the unbelievable TLC 2. Both matches were won by Edge and Christian. What's shocking is Jeff Hardy would go on to lose at Manias 18, 23, and 25 before leaving WWE for a second run in TNA. When the Hardys shockingly returned at WrestleMania 33 as surprise entrant in the Raw Tag Team Championship ladder match, not only did it mark Jeff Hardy's first WWE appearance in 7 years, it also marked his first and only WrestleMania win. Brother Matt, on the other hand, has won 4 times at WrestleMania, including the pre-show, defeating Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 19, beating Brother Jeff at WrestleMania 25, winning the ladder match at 33, and winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on the kickoff to WrestleMania 34. Number 42. WrestleMania 33 was the first WrestleMania without a live Howard Finkele appearance. For the first 21 WrestleManias, the man credited for coining the term WrestleMania, Howard Finkele, provided the iconic ring announcements for some of WWE's greatest moments. By 2006, Howard Finkele had begun taking a lighter schedule as Lillian Garcia and Tony Chimel took over announcing responsibilities for Raw and SmackDown respectively. But every year at WrestleMania, Howard Finkele would still make an appearance to introduce the new class of WWE Hall of Famers, or in the case of 2009, be inducted himself. This streak would end, however, at WrestleMania 33 when Howard Finkele passed the microphone to the new crew of WWE announcers as he transitioned to a backstage role. But from 1985 to 2016, the Fink was the one constant at WrestleMania. Number 43. WrestleMania 34 is the only pay-per-view where the McMahon kids wrestled in separate matches on the same show. The McMahon name will always be synonymous with WrestleMania and WWE in general. Ever since Vincent J. McMahon started the then WWF, the company has had a McMahon family influence through Vince, Linda, Stephanie, and Shane ever since. The McMahons also from time to time stepped in between the ropes to compete. Shane McMahon actually has the most Mania matches of any McMahon family member, with 7 matches on the show. He defended his European Championship against X-Pac at Mania 15, defeated Vince at 17, lost to The Undertaker at 32, lost to AJ Styles at 33, teamed with Daniel Bryan at 34 to defeat Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, defeated The Miz at 35, and lost to Braun Strowman at 37. He also technically was supposed to wrestle The Miz at 39 until his quad decided to explode, leading to Snoop Dogg stealing the victory. But as for Shane's sister Stephanie, the billion-dollar princess wrestled far less frequently, 24 times in her entire career. Of those 24 matches, Stephanie wrestled once at WrestleMania, teaming with her husband Triple H in a losing effort to Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey. But even in defeat, this night is historic for the McMahon family as both McMahon children and their son-in-law all competed on the same pay-per-view for the first and only time. Number 44. Triple H has the most WrestleMania losses. For all the talk of Triple H and his reign of terror, when it comes to the show of shows, the game spent more time looking at the lights than having his hand raised. In his 23 WrestleMania matches, the game has lost 13 times to a who's who of wrestling greats. Triple H has been defeated by the Ultimate Warrior at Mania 12, Kane at Mania 15, Undertaker at Mania 17, Chris Benoit at Mania 20, Batista at 21, John Cena at Mania 22, Randy Orton at Mania 24, The Undertaker at Manias 27 and 28, Daniel Bryan at Mania 30, Roman Reigns at 32, Seth Rollins at 33, and Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey at 34. And that's not even including Manias 19 and 31, where he probably should have lost those two. Number 45. Stone Cold Steve Austin is the oldest WrestleMania main eventer in history. At WrestleMania 38, when Stone Cold Steve Austin returned to the ring against Kevin Owens in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania, Stone Cold Steve Austin made history. Not only was it his first match in 19 years, but he also became the oldest main eventer in history at 57 years old, surpassing The Undertaker, who was 55 when he competed in the Boneyard match at WrestleMania 36. Number 46. Vince McMahon has had more singles matches at WrestleMania than CM Punk. Not only was Vince McMahon the creator of WrestleMania, but he was also a competitor. The creator of WrestleMania competed 5 times on the Showcase of the Immortal, losing to Shane McMahon at 17, Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 19, Shawn Michaels at Mania 22, and Bret the Hitman Hart at WrestleMania 26, before finally securing his first Mania win against Pat McAfee at WrestleMania 38. More shockingly than Mr. McMahon's WrestleMania win was that with this quote match against Pat McAfee, Mr. McMahon surpassed CM Punk in total number of WrestleMania singles matches. Punk has only wrestled in 4 singles matches at WrestleMania, facing Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 26, Randy Orton at Mania 27, Chris Jericho at Mania 28, and The Undertaker at Mania 29. His remaining WrestleMania matches have all been multi-man matches. Number 47. Stone Cold Steve Austin has had more non-wrestling appearances than matches at WrestleMania. Stone Cold Steve Austin is synonymous with the WWE and with WrestleMania. Jim Ross's iconic call of "The Austin era has begun" at WrestleMania 14 will live on forever. However, for as legendary of a career Stone Cold Steve Austin has had, he's only competed at 8 WrestleManias. Austin competed at Manias 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, and 38 as an in-ring competitor. However, the number of non-wrestling roles may shock you. Austin was the guest referee at WrestleMania 20 for the Brock Lesnar vs. Goldberg match, a guest on Piper's Pit at WrestleMania 21, the guest referee for the Battle of the Billionaires at WrestleMania 23, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame at WrestleMania 25, he was the guest referee for Jerry Lawler vs. Michael Cole at WrestleMania 27, he appeared at WrestleMania 30 to open the show with Hulk Hogan and The Rock, he alongside Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley beat up the League of Nations at WrestleMania 32, on night 2 of WrestleMania 38 he appeared to give Mr. McMahon the worst Stone Cold Stunner potentially ever, and at WrestleMania 41, Stone Cold appeared on night 1 to receive a Hall of Fame induction alongside Bret the Hitman Hart for their iconic WrestleMania 13 submission match, as well as crash his ATV into the ringside barrier on night 2 of WrestleMania 41. Number 48. Vince McMahon is the oldest performer in WrestleMania history. At WrestleMania 25, Jimmy Superfly Snuka competed in a 3-on-1 handicap match against Chris Jericho at the age of 65, making him the oldest performer in WrestleMania history. However, the first victim of the streak's record will be broken 13 years later by the evil billionaire himself, Mr. McMahon, who was 76 years old when he defeated Pat McAfee in their quote WrestleMania match. Number 49. WrestleMania 39 is the only WrestleMania with 2 5-star matches. Dave Meltzer's star ratings are divisive to say the least. Some people love them, some people hate them, but everyone seems to talk about them. Somehow, the grandest stage of them all has only ever produced 4 5-star matches from Dave Meltzer. The matches being Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon's ladder match at WrestleMania 10, Bret the Hitman Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin's submission match from Mania 13, and then 2 from WrestleMania 39. The first being the main event of night 1 when the Usos defended their undisputed tag team championships against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The other took place on night 2 when Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus hit each other really hard for the Intercontinental Championship. Those stellar matches make WrestleMania 39 not just the only Mania to date to have more than 1 5-star match, but also the only main roster WWE pay-per-view to date to accomplish this feat. Number 50. WrestleMania 41 was John Cena's first WrestleMania match as a heel. In late 2002, John Cena transformed into the Doctor of Thugonomics, a trash-talking rapper gimmick who was originally a detested heel. At WrestleMania 19, John Cena was supposed to have a rap battle against Jay-Z and Fabulous on Sunday Night Heat, but when neither man showed up, John Cena cut a rap to cardboard cutouts of the 2 rappers. By the time WrestleMania 20 rolled around, John Cena had become a beloved babyface as he challenged the Big Show for the United States Championship, and the rest was history. Until now. As he entered the ring on Sunday night for his final WrestleMania, John Cena entered for the first time a heel and exited as a 17-time world champion. So there you have it, 50 fascinating facts about WrestleMania. But what facts did we leave out? Let us know your WrestleMania facts in the comments below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the button to never miss an upload. I'm Jared Judy, and I'll see you next time.